Hi, everybody. Lori here. Thank you so much for joining me today and Happy New Year. I'm excited to be a part of the Pretty Pink Posh January release blog hop. My project's going to be featuring the Stitched Hearts dies, and I am creating, I have to say, this is the shakiest shaker I've ever shook. The shakiest shaker card I've ever created. It shakes, and you're even going to hear the sound of it. Okay, so I'm cutting apart these Stitched Hearts dies. There's several different ones with different patterns. I'm just going to be using 4 of them. About 4 will fit on an A2 size panel, you know, with a little bit of room. So I'm kind of cocking them to the side, to the angle, seeing what fits. The big, large one is kind of a polka dot. Smaller's got stripes. Some are just solid. Some have like faux stitched edging. And so I have a panel here of white cardstock. I'm using Hammermill. And I ran that panel through my die cutting machine. And I'm going to be just using that open heart panel like that. Now for the other hearts, I'm going to use some solid color cardstock. This striped heart immediately I'm thinking Valentine rainbow. So I've got some, this is all Concord 9th cardstock. Some of my favorite warm tones here. We've got ballet slipper, a little, cranberry, a little grapefruit, and we're going to make a Valentine rainbow for the stripy heart. Okay, so you got to cut little strips. This is great if you want to use little scraps of cardstock. You don't need much. You could also do pattern paper, or you could die cut the stripes out of white cardstock and blend in your color if you want to add the color that way. Here we have honeysuckle and sorbet. And then for the last little stripe right in the middle, going to finish it off with poppy. And that gives you a beautiful kind of warm Valentine rainbow striped heart. And then for the 2 smaller ones, we have a little ballet slipper and a little poppy. And those have kind of like an embossed texture. One's got like the embossed stitched stripe. And then here for the big polka dot heart, I believe the shade is called Harbor. It's a very, very light blue. I love it. And then I had all these teeny tiny little scraps. I thought, hey, why not make each one of the polka dots rainbow? Let's see how many times I can sing rainbow. Okay, Happy New Year. So that's what I'm doing here. I think it's been about a month that I got that to Anna Griffin Impress. I never know if it's Impress or Empress. Whatever the case, I love it. If you're on the fence about it and you thought, do I need another die cutting machine? Well, I'll tell you that's where I was at, because I don't like to buy stuff. I'm cheap, but I have very much enjoyed it and I love it. Now, I'm going to turn this into a shaker. Like I said, this is the shakiest shaker I've ever shook. So I'm backing that die cut panel with acetate. Going to use a little, just, what is this? The Simon Says Stamp Positively, or Terrific tape. It's basically score tape. But here's the thing. I shouldn't have put on the acetate yet. I should have left it open so I could inlay all my pieces on my card base. But I wasn't thinking ahead, and I went ahead and attached that acetate. But if you're wanting to follow along and do this card to get a similar result, let me tell you, don't put on the acetate yet. Okay, but I wasn't about to start over. So I have a little Post-it tape here, and I'm making a little hinge. I'm just temporarily adhering my shaker panel onto my white card base. I'm using a little bit of tape runner to adhere all the little solid color cardstock hearts right behind the little shaker windows. See, now if I wouldn't have put the acetate on, I could easily, just use this like a puzzle piece. Just inlay the pieces right in there with tape runner. Same idea, but because I already put the acetate on, that's why I had to create the hinge. Just making it harder. That's what I like to do. I like to make easy things harder. Maybe that's what I should call my blog. Let's make easy things hard with Laura Fedora. Okay. Using tape runner, since I put down a bunch of tape runner, I can just pop in all the little rainbow polka dots. This is where the place and Place and Peace embellishment wand. There's got the 2 with Simon Says Stamp, Place and Peace and Place and Pierce. One's good for piercing and one's good for placing. And they're both handy dandy little tools. I have had to replace my little wax tips. I I don't know if you're like me. Maybe I'm too aggressive, but I break those tips. I drop the wand, or maybe I press too hard. Who knows? I think I just need to calm down. Okay, there's your beautiful little polka dot heart. And then we have our last one here. Now for me, this is what does it. It's the stripe, it's the rainbow, it's everything. Okay, so once you get the little tip of the heart lined up, the rest is easy just to slap on that tape runner, and you've got this perfect little warm tone, striped up rainbow heart, just making sure. That's why I got that hinge, so I can flap it back and forth to make sure I'm getting everything lined up behind the shaker window. Okay, now for the shaker filler. This is really the secret ingredient for the shakiest shaker you've ever shook. It's the Sweet Heart shaker beads. But before we add the shaker filler, we got to add a little bit of foam tape. So I'm using these. These are my favorite. The Waffle Flower foam adhesive strips. They're pre-cut strips of foam tape. Pop them down. They're perfectly sized for an A2 shaker. I believe you can buy 2 different thicknesses. So if you want it really thick or really thin, depending on your filler, you can choose that. And I am just making one perimeter around the whole entire edge. I'm not like putting foam tape in between all the hearts. I'm not making each one its own little channel or own little pocket. It's going to be a full bead shaker. So these are the Sweet Heart shaker beads, and I believe these are like the red, pink, and white, and I think they have a green shaker bead set as well, probably for like St. Patrick's Day. Lining this up right over top of my solid color cardstock hearts. Now here's where I turn the sound up. You gotta listen to it. You gotta hear it to believe it. Listen to that. If you need me, I'll be here all day shaking that shaker. I'm telling you, it's the shakiest shaker I've ever shook. Okay, for the sentiment, I am using the Decorative Hearts stamp set. I wanted something simple, but something sassy. So here we go. I don't know if XOXO is sassy, but it was the right size. I like this little scripty font. I just stamped it with VersaFine ONYX black ink onto some white cardstock. I'm using the coordinating dies for that. I die cut it, and then I went ahead and die cut 3 more because I'm going to stack it up to make it dimensional. I like to make a little stacked up sentiment strip. Always have, always will. If you don't want to stack it up, you could also just pop it up. Put little slivers of foam tape. I do that often as well. Okay, using a little Barely Art mini glue here. Love that precision needle tip. I stacked up 3 white ones, topped it off with the stamped one, a little bit of glue on the back, and then I'm going to caulk this on an angle because all the hearts are kind of on an angle, so why not just go with it? Place that down. Going to put an acrylic block on it just to weight it down while it dries. And then here, I turned up the sound again, just in case you weren't sure. But this is indeed the shakiest, sassiest shaker card that I've ever shook. Now check out the rest of the January release blog hop with Pretty Pink Posh. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me, and Happy New Year. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.